well. And then just these last 3 years, I've moved over into admissions. And so priority of my focus is admissions recruitment. So getting young faces like you to come and apply to us, which I'd be so excited and happy to read your applications in the near future. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started and share my screen. And I'm gonna minimize the video.
We can see it.
Okay. You can see the black boxes or you can see our screen.
I can see your PowerPoint.
Perfect. That's exactly what I need you to see. Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, VPNS, so the Office of Admissions. Columbia does like to use acronyms. So I'm going to say a lot of things in acronym form, but I'll let you know what they mean prior to. So VPNS, as Ellen said, stands for the Vaginal College of Physicians and Surgeons. It's where I am currently right now. So we are located in Manhattan. So if anyone's ever been to New York City at all, if you haven't, please come visit. We love to have visitors. If you have been in New York City, you're probably most familiar with Times Square. It's a popular tourist attraction that's located in Midtown West, just below Central Park, where the park located label is located. We're north of that. So we're in Washington Heights, right under Inwood, which is pretty much the tip top of Manhattan. Actually, just a few steps from campus, you can get to the highest point in Manhattan. It's in this park called Bennett Park, which is literally just a few blocks away from my house. I like to go over there. It's a cute dog park in there too, so you get to see some furry friends. And then our main campus, if you're familiar with Columbia University's undergrad, that is on Morningside, just a few stops away on the 1 train, and you can get right to that campus. Or you can even take the Columbia shuttle bus, which is a perk as a student that you get. You just scan your Columbia ID and you can actually travel in between campuses on our campus shuttle bus. But yeah, and if you're familiar with the Statue of Liberty, that's located at the very bottom of Manhattan, right above Battery Park, you can see it. But yeah, we're more north. So we like to get a little bit out of the hustle and bustle of the city life. So Washington Heights, let me tell you a little bit about the culture here. So we do have a very vast and large Dominican population. About over 65% of our population within the Washington Heights community identifies as either Dominican or another Latinx. So Hispanic, whether they're Puerto Rican, El Salvadorian, Colombian, Chilean, we do have a mix, but it doesn't take away from the cultural pot that is Washington Heights. You can find literally a little bit of everything here. It's a fun and a safe space to live in New York City. And again, you can always just find great things to do, whether it's going to La Marina, or it's now called the Hudson, which is where this photograph at the bottom right was taken. And so the nightlife is amazing. The eateries, just a ton of restaurants. Going right up the street to Broadway from where we're located on Haven Avenue, you'll have nothing but restaurants from the moment you get there, all up and down the strip. We are home to the United Palace, which is a national landmark. And it's a landmark to the Washington Heights community. This is where John Wick 3 was filmed. Beyonce shot a commercial in their auditorium. It's actually where we just had one of our admitted student day events there. We rented out the whole auditorium and the whole building essentially. And we were able to have lunch there with our admitted students. And we got to have some popular locals come in and kind of talk about the history and the cultural significance of Washington Heights. And then if you got to see the movie In the Heights, it is inspired by our community as well. And it was filmed around our campus too. So another landmark famous to Washington Heights is the Little Red Lighthouse. It's located in Fort Washington Park, which is just literally 2 blocks away from campus. It's underneath the George Washington Bridge, which connects the state of New Jersey to New York City. And so during the summertime, a lot of students will come and visit, get away again from that fast-paced city life. If you're looking for a little more greenery, a little more scenery, this might be where you want to get, that good selfie going. During the summertime, it also turns into what they call like a little beach area. So you'll see a lot of families hosting picnics. And again, just a lot of students kind of walking around and enjoying the views. And here are some of our students on the High Bridge. It is the oldest bridge in New York City. It connects the High Bridge section of the Bronx to northern Manhattan. And it's a full walking pedestrian bridge. So they actually renovated it recently. So now it illuminates at night as well. But always recommend going during the day. You can see the New York City skyline if you stand right in the middle, and it's just a beautiful view, again, overlooking the Hudson River as well. So let's get to the nitty gritty. The time of application, there's 4 tracks that you can apply into. Before I start divulging into what each of these tracks look like, I want to highlight the building to the right. So that is the Vagilos Education Center. It's what we call the VEC. It's where all of our classes are held. So should you matriculate with us, this is where your classes will be. It's where our administrative offices are. So it's where I am right now on the first floor. But there are 15 stories if you include the cellar. And so that is where our sim center is. So if you go to the cellar floor, you'll have the simulation center. Some of the state-of-the-art anatomy labs are between the floors of 7 and 8, as well as some more of the simulation centers are on those floors as well. But we do have a glass cascade that you can walk to. So if you decide you want to just catch the views of New York City as you're walking down from classes, you absolutely can. And the architect of this building actually designed some more buildings around the Columbia campus on the Manhattanville campus for our business school as well. So let's get back to the nitty gritty. So there's 4 applications that you can apply into. There's the regular MD, which is what I'll focus on for the majority of my presentation. It is our most popular program that students will apply into. Then we have the Columbia Bassett track. So similar to the regular MD track, your regular 4-year course of study. However, during the major clinical year, acronym MCY, during MCY, instead of doing it here in New York City, you go up to Cooperstown, New York, and you focus on a more longitudinal patient focus. And it's really into rural care. So if you're someone who's interested in doing rural care, you want to work with that patient population, then the Bassett program might be for you. We do have an accelerated program for those who already have their PhD and are looking to get their MD. You want to do that clinical experience. So that will be our 3-year PhD to MD program. Maybe you're interested in biomedical informatics. A lot of students will tend to take that track as well. And then lastly, we have our MD PhD program, which is our longest program. It's also known as MSTP, or Medical Science Training Program. This 7 to 8 years to complete. Very, very, very rarely has anyone ever completed it in 6, but it is possible. Some have, but generally it's 7+ years. And if you're looking into maybe biomedical investigation, you want to do that clinical and that research component, then the MD PhD might be for you. If you're interested in any of these specialty tracks, just feel free to send me an email. I'll drop my email in the chat as well. And we'll go ahead and make sure that we can connect you with those coordinators for their programs as well, just in case you have some more deeper questions that I'm unable to answer. So for the regular MD, this is what the 4-year curriculum looks like at VPNS. So you have about 16 months of fundamentals of what we call preclinical year. And so that's when you're pretty much just getting your foundations, just going ahead. We're trying to get you acclimated to medical school. You'll take courses in molecular mechanisms, body health disease, foundations to clinical medicine. We actually incorporated a data science course this past year, histology and pathology, and we'll also have a ready for MCY course. So that's just a course dedicated to get you prepared for that major clinical year. There is a summer break between the 1st and 2nd year. It's the only time you get a summer break. So I do like to make sure I emphasize that. That said, there are some things that students like to do during that summer break outside of just taking that time for themselves. And I'll go ahead and get into that in just a second. These courses are broken into blocks. So essentially you'll have a cardiology block, a neuroscience block, a psychiatry block. And after those blocks, that's when you'll take those exams. So each of these kind of fundamental courses are broken into blocks. So once you complete that, you'll go into the major clinical year, or what we do, or what we call MCY. And that's when you'll be rotating through the hospital, doing your core clerkships required for graduation. There's 2 weeks out of that time that you're in the hospital rotating that you'll come back to the classroom, learn a little more, and then kind of go back into those rotations. And that's what we call MMP week, or mechanisms in practice. Then you get about 2 to 3 months of board prep. So we'll prep you for the step 1, step 2 exams. And then you go into differentiation and integration. That's D&I. So D&I is composed of a scholarly project. Usually students take about 4 to 6 months to complete a scholarly project of their choice of interest. And so that's where we incorporate research into our curriculum. And then you also do electives. So that's when students tend to do sub-Is. They'll start rotating and doing electives in places that they might be wanting to consider for residency. That's a popular time that students will do that. And then in May, we have graduation. So again, over the course of the 4 years. So MCY, major clinical year, we have a class size roughly around 140 each year. And so we divide that into about 8 groups, 18 to 20 students. And then they rotate through these clerkships together. So they have medicine, they have neurology, neurosurgery, ophthalmology, OB-GYN, pediatrics, and otolaryngology. primary care, psychiatry, surgery, and anesthesiology, a subspecialty, orthopedics, urology, and then a selective of your choice. And so the times are right next to each of the clerkships. So generally medicine is about 10 weeks. You do 6 weeks here in New York Presbyterian, and then 4 weeks at a different affiliated hospital. So you're not always going to do your clerkships here at the New York Presbyterian Columbia Hospital. You may be at the Allen Hospital. You might be at Harlem Hospital. You might be at Stanford Hospital in Connecticut. So it kind of just depends on how the lottery system works. But you won't always necessarily have to be here within the New York Presbyterian Columbia hospital system. So research and scholarly projects. There's numerous opportunities that students will choose to engage in a research or a global health project, but there are some ideal times throughout the curriculum that students will do so. So that summer between the first and second year, it is not uncommon for students to work with our Global Population Health Office and finding an opportunity for them to do some research over the summer. Another popular time is during the scholarly project months in the D&I phase. So some popular SP areas or scholarly project areas, again with the acronyms, are medical education, basic science, clinical research, globe and population health, and then narrative and social medicine. So social medicine has really been taken off since its inception. It's a way to kind of look at how art, how photography, how dance, how the creative arts and the fine arts work into telling patient stories, works into healing, into medicine. And so it is actually accepted into our fundamentals time as well. You will take a narrative medicine course there too. But it is also popular for students to take up narrative medicine during their scholarly project months as well. And then we do offer dual degrees. So for these dual degree programs, outside of the MD PhD program, you don't have to apply into them when you're applying into the school. You wouldn't necessarily have to decide if you're interested until maybe after your third year. Generally, that's when students take a year off to complete the dual degree. And it's as simple as kind of working with the Dean of Student Affairs to kind of recreate your timeline of study and let them know that you're taking a year off to go complete that dual degree. MD PhD, however, is the program that you will have to apply into when you're completing your secondary with us. But you can also get a MS in biomedical engineering, a MD MS in pretty much anything, a MD MPH, a MD MBA, or a 1-year MS in either narrative medicine, bioethics, or biomedical informatics. So generally, students will pick programs that last about a year because we don't want to take you too far away from your medical studies. But again, any of those programs, the MS, the MPH, the MBA, you don't have to decide until after your third year. And it is important that students get to experience the world around us. We know it's much bigger than Washington Heights, and we want you to have those opportunities. So as I mentioned, we have a whole office dedicated to global health opportunities, but these are just a few. Trust me, it does not give justice to the various programs that our office does and the connections that our school has, but these are some popular ones. So we do have our summer Spanish language and cultural immersion program. Our Millennium Villages project will help to eradicate poverty on the village level in sub-Saharan Africa. Ben Gurion University Nagav does a foreign exchange student program with us. So we send a student to Israel, they send a student over here. And again, just pursuing global health during the D&I phase. International Center for AIDS Care and Treatment Program, we call it ICAP for short. It's a partnership with our Mailman School of Public Health to really look and dive deeper into HIV and AIDS care. And then Dígame Bienvenidos and Dígame Más is amazing. They are a pre-orientation program that also kind of works throughout the calendar year as well. But Dígame really is dedicated to teaching the historical and cultural significance of Washington Heights. So you'll really get another Spanish cultural immersion program there as well. So you'll be walking around the neighborhood, you'll be trying different authentic Dominican food in restaurants, you'll get to learn the historical significance, as I mentioned, of Washington Heights and really get a feel and understanding of the patient population you'll be serving. But all that talk about academics, let's get to the fun stuff as well. So we do have the P&S clubs. It's about 70 co-curricular, extracurricular organizations, and they represent the vast interests of our students. So we do have Free Weight Club, and the one who's holding the sign over here, free t-shirts, is PK. He's actually one of our admissions reps. We have Coffee House, which I got to experience also during Admitted Students Day, or what we call Revisit. Which is where our students pretty much host like a talent show. So all of our students kind of get on the lineup, whether they're singing, doing spoken word, they're dancing, they showcase their talents. And then the house part is pretty much a big party. And they just kind of rock out together for the rest of the night. We have our Broadway Haven players, BHP. They put on 3 full-length productions each academic year. Our Musicians Guild, which consists of our symphony orchestra as well, actually play for families in the hospital, as well as do concerts throughout the academic year. Our rugby team competes intercollegiately. We have our Latin dance club. We have a host of affinity groups that I'll go over in just a second as well. But student life. So also, I did mention that I did work in student affairs prior to admissions. So a lot of my time first being here at Columbia was dedicated to just making the fun of it. So we do have a host of programs during orientation, whether it be going to baseball games. This year, students also went ice skating, they went bowling. One of the program directors, kind of clerkship coordinators, worked together to kind of take the students to go see the Nutcracker, which is really great around Christmas time. During orientation, we also tend to rent out a restaurant, or we try to go somewhere where students can just have fun with just chatting with each other, getting to know each other. We know in the beginning weeks, everyone's so excited. So we definitely want to make sure you have an avenue to let out all that energy. We do have an advisory dean program. It's a support program I'll go over in just a second as well. But these were some of our students in the bottom left corner at an advisory dean dinner. They call it a house dinner. So the houses are named after streets in the Washington Heights community. And also, fun fact, we do a boat cruise every year for all the students, so M1 all the way to M4 and beyond. And just a way for students to kind of get to know each other, to create collegiality, and again, just to give upperclassmen a chance to meet the incoming students as well, and let you know you have that support here. And as I mentioned, our affinity groups. So we have BALSA, which is our Black and Latino student organization. We have a PAMSA, which represents our Asian Pacific American Medical Student Association. Lambda represents our LGBTQ+ community. And then we also have FLIP for our first generation low income partnership identifying students. And then we also have our Muslim Student Association, or MSA. And then this is a popular slide. So service learning opportunities. It is important for our students to be hands-on within the Washington Heights community. And so a lot of students choose to join our student-run clinics. You don't have to have any kind of formal application process unless you're going for like a board position, and that way you will. But you can get involved in these clinics as early as your first semester, first day, first week. And so we have COSMO, which is our Columbia Student Medical Outreach, CHIMP, or Columbia Harlem Homeless Medical Partnership, Columbia Care Access Project, we call it CCAP for short. We have CRIA, which is our Columbia Human Rights Asylum Clinic, which offers free medical evaluations for those seeking refuge here in the United States. And then our student-run Q clinic services our LGBTQ+ community. So majority of these clinics are located within the northern Manhattan. So we're servicing, like I said, northern Harlem all the way up into Inwood. And then our Q clinic is actually located near Midtown, so Midtown West. And so they're also helping to serve the population there as well. And then housing is guaranteed all 4 years for medical students, which is the perk about coming here. And there's 2 different housing styles. So you don't have to live in on-campus housing. If you choose not to, absolutely fine. You can work with the Office of Housing to find some off-campus housing opportunities. And they're more than happy to kind of connect you. Us in admissions, most of us or some of us have kind of lived here for quite a few years, or are native New Yorkers like myself. So we're more than happy to get you situated as well and help out too if you ever have any questions. But if you do want to live on campus, you can live in either 50 Haven, which is your typical undergraduate style of living, so your typical undergrad dorm. And then the Towers is more apartment style living. So if you want something a little more on the modern side, generally the Towers is where you want to go. And then, as I mentioned, support programs. So it is important that our students feel supported in and outside of the classroom. So we do have an advisory dean program. It consists of 6 advisory deans with a cohort of about 20 to 25 students. And these advisory deans are like your front line of defense. Anything that's going on, whether it's personally, professionally, academically, they definitely want to be there to support and help you, good or bad. So definitely, if you're not having a good day and you just need somebody to vent to, you can always hit up your advisory dean, and they're more than happy to make time for you on their schedule. If maybe you didn't do so well on an exam, you're a little worried about it, definitely just sit there and talk to them. They're like, I work with 2 of them. 2 of them also serve as the deans of admissions. When I say that, I can't stress this enough about how much they love to support students. Definitely, it doesn't give enough justice. Definitely reach out to your advisory dean. Similar to the Senior Associate Dean for Student Affairs, that's who I worked with before I got here. And that's Dr. Lisa Melman currently. She's also phenomenal with daily walk-in hours and welcoming students to come talk to her about anything. Similar with the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs. So if anything, Columbia has a really well open door policy. We love for students to kind of come in and just vent, chat with us about anything. You do get career advising. So when you're applying to residency, you will have a career advising specialist to work with you along the way to make sure your application is as strong as possible. Our Big Sib, Little Sib is a partnership with our upperclassmen and our incoming students. Again, just making sure that you have that support. So you'll have like a partnership there with someone who'll kind of look out for you and be your also frontline of defense there too. Help you navigate, because who better than someone who's walked in your shoes? The Student Success Network is set up because it's like peer tutoring or peer mentoring there as well. And so they're set up for upperclassmen to kind of, pass along any notes and any advice that they can give you to help you academically. And then our wellness office is amazing. They actually changed their name to the Office of Wellness and Health Promotions. So they do a lot of mental health awareness. They do a lot of programs throughout the year for like stress relief, whether it's plant potting, they bring pets to campus during exam time, kind of just give you those de-stressors. And the person who leads the wellness office is Dr. Jane Bogart. She's phenomenal. Cannot hype her up enough. And then we also have our Addiction Illness Medical Solutions, or what we call AIMS. That's really dedicated to any students who may be dealing with substance abuse difficulties and need that extra level of support as well. And then our alumni office is always finding ways to connect potential prospective and incoming students, as well as our admitted students with alum in their neighborhoods and their communities. So I'm going to show you a video, which is a virtual tour of our campus.
Welcome to the Columbia University Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City. We hope that this brief, virtual, student-led tour will help better orient you to the Columbia University Irving Medical Center campus and its surroundings. We'll introduce you to some of the places you'll be spending most of your time, like the Roy and Diana Vagelos Education Center, 50 Haven, Hammer Health Sciences Center, Haven Plaza, William Black Building, Milstein Hospital Building, and the Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital. Let's begin with an overview of the neighborhood.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Ding and I am a second-year medical student at Columbia. Our campus is within the Washington Heights neighborhood. It's a really vibrant area and there's a diverse Spanish-speaking community with many people from the Dominican Republic. There's a lot to see and do here, like there are farmers markets, restaurants, and historic sites and landmarks such as the United Palace Theater. And a few blocks from campus, there's J. Hood Wright Park, where I have a lot of picnics with my friends. And a little farther north is the beautiful Fort Tryon Park, which is home to the cloisters at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This neighborhood has the vibe of a small community within the bigger city, so it's not as crowded or overwhelming as some parts of downtown Manhattan might be.
Welcome to the Vagelos Education Center. My name is Billy Buffington, and I'm a third-year medical student here at Columbia. The award-winning Vagelos Education Center is a 14-story building that houses a high-tech simulation center, classrooms, social spaces, anatomy labs, and an auditorium. In the lobby on the first floor, you'll find a bustling open space with comfy furniture. Here we are in the Clyde and Helen Wu Auditorium. This space spans 2 floors. It's used for classes and for special events. What I love about the Vagelos Education Center are the incredible city views that can be seen on every floor. One of the coolest spaces is the Mary and Michael Jahar's Simulation Center. You will start working in the Sim Center during your first semester as part of the Clinical Skills Development in your Tutorials 1 course. There are many operating room settings in the Sim Center that let you practice key surgical skills in a low-risk setting. Another perk of the Vagelos Education Center is that it's open until 11 p.m., so you'll have plenty of time to study.
Welcome to 50 Haven. My name is Amy Hembry. I'm a second-year medical student. 50 Haven is where medical students live and socialize on campus. It has a lot of great amenities: a free weight club, the athletic center, the pool, saunas, music rooms, and a laundry room. There's a lounge for student events and study spaces. A number of students live in 50 Haven during their first year, and there's 24-hour security, and rent is really reasonable for NYC. 50 Haven is also home to the P&S Club, the most comprehensive student activities organization in American medical education, with nearly 70 co-curricular and extracurricular organizations. I'm a member of the Walker Percy Literary Society, which is also known as Book Club.
Welcome to Hammer Health Sciences Center. My name is Andrew Sanchez. I'm a 4th-year medical student at Columbia University, and this is one of the buildings where I spend a lot of time on campus. On the first floor of this building is the Augustus C. Long Health Sciences Library, which is open 24/7 for students. Inside the space, you'll find printers and computer labs and rooms for individual and small group study. Textbooks are free to check out, and there are also lots of free online resources. Right next door to the library is a cafe. While we are studying on the main and lower levels of Hammer, researchers are filling the labs on the upper floors with world-class research that has made Columbia a leader in biomedical research. For me, the best thing about the Hammer library is what we call the Shark Tank. It's a quiet room and it has these little cubicles that are super duper comfortable to study in.
Welcome to Haven Plaza. This is one of the outdoor spaces that really makes our campus a treasure. Haven Plaza is a pedestrian plaza open to everyone at the Medical Center and the Washington Heights community. As you walk through the plaza, you will notice hand-painted illustrations of flowers, plants, and animals by local artist Emily Perez. This is a nice spot to gather with friends for lunch or to attend one of the public events hosted in the plaza throughout the year. There's also a cafe seating here right outside the Barnes & Noble bookstore, which is another popular spot for students. Haven Plaza is a great departure point for exploring. It's only a short walk to the 1A and C subway trains and to the George Washington Bridge bus station that will take you to other parts of the city. There's also an inter-campus shuttle that goes between Columbia campuses.
Welcome to the William Black Building. My name is Lauren, and I'm a fourth-year medical student at Columbia University. So the Black Building is one of the medical school's research buildings and is filled with laboratories conducting world-class research. The Black Building is home to the Alumni Auditorium and the Schaefer Awards Gallery. The gallery, with its glassed-in facade, is a nice spot to study or catch up with classmates. The Alumni Auditorium is where our medical center's theater company staged 3 productions per academic year. I personally like to relax in the student lounge during my clinical rotation while I'm waiting to be paged by the hospital.
Welcome to Milstein Hospital. This is one of the New York Presbyterian Hospital buildings where most of your clerkships will take place during the major clinical year. New York Presbyterian Hospital is ranked number 4 in the nation and number 1 in New York, according to U.S. News and World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. This building has 745 beds and over 30 ORs. It houses the Vivian Seymour Milstein Family Heart Center. One of my favorite parts about working here was probably working with the medicine residents. I'm applying into internal medicine this year, and I really enjoyed the amount of independence they gave us as medical students.
Welcome to Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital. This is the New York Presbyterian Hospital building, which is where, for many of you, your pediatrics clerkship will take place during your major clinical year. The garden behind the hospital is a nice place to take a break out